how war has no end, just human suffering. And that's the truth of human life. War has no end, just human suffering. Crimea, Ukraine, Syria, it has no end. These wars around the world have no end. Just human suffering, human poverty, hunger, starvation. People, excuse me, please. People don't think about the human effects of war, and it takes its tolls on families, their children, and the way to live life with troops marching around the streets. People telling you what to do, when to do, and where to do it. Wars have no end, just human suffering. And even when the war ends, the human suffering goes on for years and years and years, like World War II and World War I. The suffering goes on for years. The suffering goes on for years and years and years, the agony, and the fighting and the killing and the starving and the fighting for food, the fighting to get your city built back up. It has no end. It's just an egregious slaughter of human life. Blown out cities take forever to rebuild. That's the suffering of human life. That's the agony of human life. That's the chaos of human life. That's the human suffering of human life. It really is. It has no end. It has no beginning, but it has no end. Because it goes on for years afterwards. And that's the human truth. That's the human fact. That's the human news. That's the human life. That's humanity. War has no end. Just human suffering, human death, human carnage, human torture. War just kills. Like I said, if they stop spending money on their war machines, they could feed the people of poverty. This is the human truth, honestly. This is the human truth. This is the human fact. This is the human life. Yet if they stopped the war making, they could end poverty in this world. If they stopped the war making, they could end poverty in this world. A war has no end. Just human suffering. Human killing. Waste of human life. Human children all around. Children killing children. All over the world. In wars. It's not right. It's not right. It's not human. A touch of kindness is missing from war zones. A touch of humanity. Because everything's blown out or blasted or blown to pieces. And that's the sadness of human life. That's the failure of human life. That's the inhumanity of human life. That's the suffering of human life. This is why I do what I do. Try and stop it. Try and give people a voice. Try and give people a voice in the inhumanity. Because it's a terrible, egregious thing to do. It really is. The suffering is abominable. It has no end. Syria, Ukraine, wherever it goes, Iraq, Afghanistan, blown out holes. Just blown out. Blown out war zones. And that's the human effect of war. It just leaves death. It's all it leaves is death, human suffering. It leaves human suffering for years. Like in Crimea now, the banks are closed. They can't get their money. People won't eat. That's the thing. But the journalists were fighting over in Syria. The war. Blaming one side or the other. Instead of agreeing and disagreeing. Instead of looking for the ways of peace, people look for the ways of war. And that's not the answer. Never has been, never will be. There's no war to end all war. Unless you nuke the whole damn world. And that's the human scary part of life. That this world is so unstable. It's so full of hate. So full of bigotry. Where they call rape an act of war now. And children are molested. And people are killed. And people are slaughtered. This is what goes on. War has no end. Wars have no end. Just human suffering. That's all it is. Human carnage, human waste, human torture, human butchery, hunger, starvation, famine, disease, sickness, no medical care. That's what it is. That's what war is. War takes away all the human aspects of life. War takes away all the human aspects of life. That's the human truth. Now, I'm not a know-it-all, but I lived for 3 wars. Vietnam, it's never the same. Lebanon used to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's now a worn out, blown out world where people are trying to rebuild. War brings human suffering, human carnage, and human waste. That's all it brings. It brings poverty, brings hunger, brings starvation, brings lack of food, lack of care. The human effect is it hurts, takes people's children, takes people's families, it kills, it rapes, and every other thing. And that's the sadness of human life. That's the sadness of human life. This is why I opened this protesting site. This is why openness protest is. This is why I do what I do. To bring people the attention that war is not the answer. War has never been the answer. Hitler beheaded. He just was a crazy person who thought dictatorships could rule the world. And they do. They do. Governments don't work with the people anymore. Don't work with the people. And this is what's wrong with the world. Governments do not work with nations and their people. Governments do not work with their people. And the suffering goes on. They don't show you. They show you the good parts of human life. But they don't show you the suffering human beings life, which is 2/3 of the world. That's the human factor that I don't like. They don't show you the real human parts of human life. They show you the fancy parts of cities. They don't show you the war holes, the hell holes that people live in around the world that are just dumps, slums like Donald Slinger. And worse, huts, mud, tents, refugees. They don't show you none of this. They don't show you none of this. They take you and show you where people are speaking. But if you see the videos where the people are fighting, the buildings are empty. There's no power, there's no water, there's no electric, there's medical care. Even the banks in Crimea left. Even the banks in Crimea left. That's the human truth. That's the human fact. That's the human effect of war. This is some big news. I tell you the truth. This is the real reality, human effects of war. It's terrorists and terrorism. It's not a fake. It's not a fraud. It's real. It's factual. It's human life as it is. It's the suffering of human life. It's the carnage of human life. It's the hate of human life. That's the sadness of human life. It really goes on. It really does happen. And it continues to happen. That's the human waste of life. The human war. Human life. This is Sufering Human News. Thank you for watching.